I have a special guest today, and her name is Marie Cosgrove. Hello, Marie.
Hi.
And I want to share with you that this is a person that I admire. She's a business partner, a very good friend, and a person who has a bundle of energy. Sometimes I call her grasshopper because she's hopping all over the place. Marie, you are a CEO, your wife, your mother. You have been through a lot of experiences in life. And through it all, you've decided that that's not going to determine who I'm going to become. You've decided that you're not going to be a victim. You decided that you will find a way to win. And one of the things I admire most about you, the company that you were working at, and you were a top performer, they became envious and jealous. You know about haters. And they wanted her to cut her commission, the amount of money that she was earning honestly, and she wouldn't agree to that, and they fired her. And then you came back and tell the audience what happened after that.
I turned around and I purchased the company that had fired me.
Yes, in 2 years, she purchased the company that had fired her. Now, the CEO of that former company now works for her. She is his CEO. That's what I'm talking about, up in here, up in here. How did you do that?
Well, when I got fired, I didn't have a choice to sit back and have a pity party. I had 4 children. You talk about you got to be hungry.
Yes.
Well, literally, I was hungry. But not only me, my 4 children were hungry as well.
Yes.
I was the sole supporter. I had no support system. So I didn't have time to sit back and feel sorry for myself. I had to do something. And being in sales, I started to identify what was missing in doctors' offices. And I started contracting with other manufacturing companies to sell for them. At the same time, while I was doing that, I was saving up my money to build a new product and bring it onto the market. So within that year, I developed a new product, brought it into the market, got the FDA clearance, which is a very long process. At that time, they were only clearing 50% of the FDA clearances. The other 50% were not getting approved. When I asked investors, would you invest in this program? They would say, are you crazy? Marie, stick to what you know how to do. Why don't you stick to sales? But I was passionate about it. I had a dream. I wanted to bring it to market. So I went ahead and pursued that dream. Within 2 years, we got the FDA clearance, and I built that company within 1 year to a $14 million company. Of course, the news spread quite quickly. The previous owners who had fired me contacted me and they said, are you interested in investing in our company? And I said, well, let me take a look at the books. Let me fly over there and see what the financials look like. So when I looked at the financials and I'm looking at all the sales, one thing that really stood out to me was that I had done most of the sales when they were the most profitable.
Yes.
Before they fired me.
Yes.
And the sales had tanked.
After they fired you.
After they fired me. And another thing that I noticed.
You know, there's a song called "You Don't Miss Your Water Till the Well Runs Dry," and their well ran dry. Yes. What's the other thing you noticed?
That I was making half of the commission the men were making, but I was making double the sales. So I was exceeding their sales quota.
Even though you were earning half of what they were earning.
Even though I was earning half of what they were earning.
Wow, that's not right.
Yes.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel when you discovered that?
I didn't have time to feel bad about it. One thing, I just made a decision. I'm going to own the majority of the shares in this company. And so when I looked at the numbers, I said, you guys, I need to buy the majority of the shares in this company. I need to turn it around, and you all have tanked it. You all have destroyed it. So I negotiated half of what they were asking for, the company. Mm-hmm. So I purchased it for half of what they wanted.
Oh, good for you.
And when I did that, I made a decision. I was going to do things differently. Everybody was going to get paid the same commission amount.
Yes.
I was not going to pay people differently based on whether they were male or female. None of that mattered. It was all based on, can they get this done? And if they can do it, they were all going to get paid the same. And I treated everybody equally. Another thing that I did is I gave shares to the employees. I did not want the engineers to leave because they are the ones that are developing the product. So I decided to invest in the employees as well.
So that they have a piece of the pie, and they're knowing
of the
they're growing something that they have an investment in.
Exactly.
That says a lot about you. There's a saying, judge a person not by what they do, but what they do that they don't have to do. and to judge the true quality of a person is what they do when nobody's looking. You don't have to do that, and that says a lot about you. When you think about sales, and let's talk about that, because
Sure.
nothing happens until something is sold.
Right.
If you had to think of the three attributes that will allow a person to become an outstanding sales professional like yourself, because you have sold yourself to success. You have sold your way there through the products, through medical supplies, for doctors' practices, but you literally, I believe, the kind of person that psychologists call skaters. No matter where you are thrown, you're going to land on your feet. So if you had to crystallize your thoughts on being an effective sales professional, what would number one be?
Number one would be communication. You have to be an effective communicator in order to succeed in sales. You need to be able to communicate effectively so that the person you're selling to understands. But importantly, part of communication is actually listening. In sales, a lot of times you go in and you want to talk about your product. You're so excited and you're just like blah, 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 talking about how wonderful your product is. And you're not listening to the customer. One of the things that I did is I listened to my customer. What were their needs? And I identified a solution for their problems and what their needs were. So that is the most important thing for me, is communication via listening to your customer.
You know, I, as you know, train speakers, and one of the things I strongly believe, never let what you want to say get in the way of what your customer wants to hear. Conduct communications intelligence. So communication is one, and being a good listener to your customers and being able to give them what they ask for. What's number two?
Number two is relationship building. Building a relationship.
People talk about that a lot. How do you build relationships?
One is through communication and listening. The other thing is about really valuing and caring for people. One of the things that I found in my industry, we're capital equipment, high dollar devices. You're talking about devices anywhere from $35,000 to $150,000.
High-end products.
High-end products.
Yeah.
What most salespeople would do is they would sell a high-end product and they would say buy and never keep in touch with their customer. And one thing that I did is I always kept in touch with my customers, because I know that customer, that relationship is so valuable. It is so hard to build that relationship. But most importantly, I know that most of my sales are going to come from referrals from that relationship. And so even doctors would tell me, what I appreciate about you is when I buy pieces of equipment that's very expensive, I never hear from the sales rep again. You keep calling on me. You keep updating me with news, with changes in regulation. So I would find out their business, their industries, what are some of the things that they needed to keep on that they didn't get easily, and I would provide that information for them just as part of building that relationship to help them out.
So in building a relationship, you provide service that you don't get paid for. And so when she sells a customer, as she just explained, that she continues to communicate with them, continue to provide information that's valuable for them, that will impact their bottom line. And they appreciate the fact that she wasn't treating them like a transaction. She built a relationship by continuing to add value to them. What's number three?
Number three is persistence and perseverance.
Persistence and perseverance. Og Mandino, in the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, he said, I will persist until I succeed. Talk to me about that and give us an example.
Well, an example is salespeople, when they hear the word no, they tend to give up, or they tell themselves no before the customer says no.
Yeah.
They give a million reasons why they're going to say no. And I'll give you an example. I remember I was training a representative, and we went into the doctor's office, and I had been trying to close him for 3 months. And most people would have given up because the doctor kept saying, you need to sell it to me for half of the price. I've already bought equipment from you, and buying another one, I deserve a discount. I couldn't get that discount as a sales rep. The company wouldn't give it to me. But I knew that this doctor was making a lot of money off of the equipment, and he was earning double of what he had paid on the equipment. So I went in with the sales rep, and the doctor said the same thing he always said, Marie, I've already told you, give it to me for half the price and I'll write you a check today. And I said, you mean to tell me that if you give me $30,000 today and I give you $60,000 in 2 months, because I know that's how much you make off of each piece of equipment, you're gonna say no to that? I know you don't make that kind of money in real estate investment or in the stock market. Guess what? He walked out the door, came back, wrote the check for the full price that I had asked.
Because you had done an assessment and you had determined how much your product would provide for him, the profit margin, and he saw that it made sense for him to get it at the
Exactly.
price that you were offering it.
Exactly.
Wow, that's major.
Right.
But that's not just being persistent. That is coming back with a different game plan, because Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing in the same way, expecting a different outcome. You didn't just come back asking him to buy the product. You came back armed with information that showed, there's an old saying, you take a horse to the water, you can't make him drink. But if you provide the right information, you create a thirst where he wanted to drink, and he wrote the check.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. As you look at yourself now and the goals that you want to achieve as a professional, what's next for you?
What's next for me is really empowering other entrepreneurs who want to be successful, or business people that want to grow. And that is my passion, is empowering others. And that's my vision and my goals for the next coming year.
I tell you, you have done a lot and you're still on fire. She has so much energy, the energizing bunny. And so we look forward to working with you. If you want to make it in sales or become successful in life, the 3 principles that she talked about are things that all of us can use each and every day in building relationships and doing our homework. Never let what we want to say get in the way of what the customer wants to hear. Listening to the customer. And the number 1 thing that you talked about, effective communication skills, being able to communicate and communicate in a way that your customers can hear you, but being able to listen to them first and bring back to them the things that they've shared with you, what's keeping them up at night, what's stressing them out. Continue to be successful. I want you to know that you put the M in mastery. Marie Cosgrove, thank you very much. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.